Hello and welcome everyone, this is Calebovitsch coming to you with another episode of Deck Check. Today I will be diving once again into Expedition mode, and I'm gonna show you a deck that is maybe kind of similar to what I have been playing and showing you off last week in Throne, although it's not a mill deck, but it is a control deck. Let's spin the Wheel of Misfortune and let's get started. Yes, first thing you can see right here that this is a Hooru deck, not a Linray deck, and it is not a mill deck, but it is called Hooru SLY Control. I wanted to create a funny name once again, and SLY is short for Seraph, Larai, and Yusha. So, as far as the Expedition format goes, there has been a slight update from Direwolf in the last week, where they added the Dead Reckoning and Trials of Grodov campaigns into the Expedition format without Hailstorm, Equivocate, Kitty, and one more card. In Trials of Grodov, there has been a card I have been brewing with quite a lot that is called Yisha the Equalizer, a 4-cost double justice soldier, 5/5, which is already a great stat line for the price. That also says when you play a unit or weapon, its attack and health or attack and armor becomes the higher of the two. And how you can make this better, how you can make this better is just by playing very skewed units. Like the best example is Momentum Builder, a 0/10 for 4, which can become a 10/10. That is not in this deck because that is a meme route altogether. This is a semi-competitive deck at least. Another card I want to showcase is called Shard of the Spire. It has been with us since Omens of the Past, so for the past 2+ years. It is a 3-cost Justice Relic that says when you play a unit, its attack and health becomes the higher of the two. So there have been some Shard of the Spire decks in the past. I know I have brewed a meme or two around this card for sure, but there are two huge differences here. Two huge differences. First one is that Shard of the Spire does not hit your relic weapons or other weapons. That is not the bigger one. The bigger one is that in and of itself, this card does nothing, while Yisha, in and of itself, is a huge attacker or blocker on the ground just by playing it, and it's only 1 power more expensive. So if you add 1 power and 1 justice requirement and get a 5/5 unit with an additional ability, then that is just a great deal. Back in Throne, like several months ago, I have brewed a couple of versions around Yisha and Shard. There was an Argentport version with Tavrod, there was a Cambrai version with Karmic Guardian, the 1/4 Flying Endurance Lifesteal Cambrai unit. But I believe the best option lies in Hooru, and right after Direwolf reintroduced Yisha into the format, I was just on it. I was just 10 out of 10 on it, given that this is quite close to what I had previously. I mean, it has a couple of great additions, but I'm gonna get to that in a moment. I have also seen some rather aggressive or mid-range versions of this deck flying around in the Expedition formats on the ladder and in the Expedition Melee event that are usually topping off at Yisha as well, but are not playing other cards that are here, that are based around Daring Griffin, that are based around Shenra, and with Yisha just as an addition to an aggressive Hooru list. So yes, why this card is so great you will see in a moment, but there are also 2 other additions from those campaigns, that is Ikaria Valkyrie Captain and Sodi Wingbringer. So these 3 cards are really quite important for this deck. I mean, the other 2 not as important as Yisha for what this deck wants to do, but it is. They are important anyway, and without them I don't think this deck would be as viable as it is, at least in my opinion right now. So let me get through the cards, and I will tell you about some of the interactions that are here. So we start the journey with Icaria, Valkyrie Captain, aka Baby Icaria, a 2-cost double justice Valkyrie, 1/1 with flying and endurance. When you have 6 Justice Influence, it gets +3/+2 and has an ultimate of paying 3 and to play a Justice Sigil from your deck depleted. Also, each Valkyrie in your hand gets +1/+1. Now, unfortunately for the last part of this deal, Icaria is the only Valkyrie in this deck, but if you have additional copies in your hand, you can make those 1/1s into 2/2s. The only downside of Icaria in the current meta is Vara's Favor and other ways of just dealing 1 damage to a unit, but mostly Vara's Favor. Other than that, this is a very power-intensive deck, and I wanted to have some 2-drops aside from Seraph Grand Strategist to get the party started. And Icaria honestly fits a great role in this deck because, I mean, I have played this deck on stream for 20 or 30 games and in one Expedition Melee event, and Icaria Valkyrie Captain was actually one of the cooler cards here. Once again, very power intensive deck, and it is more a control deck. You're gonna see why in a moment. Next up we have Seraph Grand Strategist, a 2-cost 05 soldier that gives you the option of paying 5 and twisting Seraph to play a random unit with her attack and giving that unit double damage. Now, later in the game, this is just a huge bomb. This is an army in and of itself. I mean, it is the Grand Strategist after all. Because if you are in mid-game, in late game, and you have at least 7 power, you can play Seraph, you can twist Seraph already, and you have 2 units. One of them is a 1 attack double damager. If you already have Yisha in play, and you play Seraph, then you have a 2-cost 5/5. Which is a huge deal, much higher than anything else you might see in the current format. I mean, I don't believe Campfire Watchman is in Expedition right now. Oh, it is in Expedition. Okay, so you could go better, you could go 06, but the ability of Seraph is what makes her stand out for sure. Also, if you have Yisha in play and you have played Seraph as a 5/5, and you twist Seraph for the first time, she becomes a 6/4, and the unit you summon is a 6 attack double damage unit, and you can just run amok with those for sure. Now, just for a small hint or maybe a tidbit about using Seraph, whether to play Seraph or just twist Seraph before the attack or after the attack. There are 2 things to consider. One is that the unit you get could have charge, but on the other hand, the unit you could get could have an onslaught effect. And I did have a game several days ago where I twisted Seraph twice in a game, and both of those cards were actually onslaught units. So you gotta remember about that. I have not gone through the Expedition card list to just have an inkling of what cards I could grab, but if you want to invest your time and Shiftstone into this deck, you might want to do that. Just go through the whole Expedition list, just like that. Just go for units and just make a list. Okay, 1 attack units, sure. 2 attack units, sure. 6 attack units, sure. And see how many of them have summon effects, have charge, have onslaught effects, etc., which means what could you get? For example, which slot has more flyers, etc., etc. I mean, this is a very time-intense exercise, but if you want to be better at playing Seraph, that is what you could do if you want to invest your time. I mean, probably someone has already done that, and it is somewhere on the internet. Also, I believe in Eternal Warcry you can also choose units with 1 attack, with 2 attack, etc., etc. Make some visual spreadsheets of that, and just start from there. Okay, so we already know the Yisha Seraph combo. The next one is Larai the Appraiser. It is a 3-cost primal 06 Explorer that says the enemy player can't attack with relic weapons or activate relics And honestly, the enemy player can't attack with relic weapons. People forget about that. People forget about this all the time. And yeah, I have seen some situations back in Throne a while ago, where the opponent played Aurelian Runehammer, wanted to smack one of my units, could not, and only had a Magma Javelin in play. So yeah, this is another example of reading cards, of Card Game 101, read your cards, right? But I'm not entirely playing Larai for that. It is a 3-cost, potentially 6/6 while you have Yisha in play. And also you get to pay 2 and twist Larai, give it +1, -1, to draw a relic from your deck with cost equal to her health. Which means if you twist her, okay, so now at least I know it's a her, you get to grab a 5-cost relic, then a 4-cost relic, etc., and just move down from there. Which is also a sub-theme of this deck, because this deck is running some relics and some cursed relics, but I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But Larai is one of your card draw engines, and even if on 5 you can play Larai and twist her once and already grab something, that is good. If you just straight out play Larai on turn 3, then on turn 4 you twist Larai twice, you are already drawing 2 cards, and you get to choose which cards you are drawing. Next up, we have 3 copies of Rime Conclave Smuggler, the 3-cost Hooru 3/2 merchant with Onslaught. That is a 3-attack Onslaught, ladies and gentlemen. You and Rime Conclave Smuggler each get Aegis, and Aegis is very important in the current expedition format, let me tell you that. Also, if you have face Aegis, the enemy's first curse relic they are playing on you fizzles. Totally. Just vanishes, gets negated, gets destroyed, gets destruction, gets decimated, is no more. Also on summoning, get to choose a card from your hand and swap it with a card from your black market, and we will get to the black market at the end, because unfortunately, and that is an unfortunate thing about all these deck checks, I believe the market is usually the weakest part of these decks, but also market is something that is the easiest to adjust depending on where you're playing. I mean, whether you're playing in the bronze ranks, in the gold ranks, in the master ranks, in an event like Expedition Melee, in an ECQ tournament or something like that, because metagames there differ a lot. For example, I'm running Edict of Lyn right here, but I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But yes, Rime Conclave Smuggler is, in my opinion, one of the better smugglers right now, mainly because of that Aegis. Yisha we've already talked about, and last but not least, when it comes to units, we have Sodi Wingbreaker, the 5-cost 3/6 elemental shaman, the first incarnation of Sodi. At the end of your turn, if the enemy player took damage, draw a card, and on Onslaught, she gets to deal 6 damage to an enemy unit with flying, aka Carvet, Solar Dragon, or an enemy side, aka Xenon Temple. Yeah, there are obviously more targets than that, because this format is like 50% about winning with flying units, with sides, and with card advantage. So that is why Sodi is here. Also another upside, if you already have Yisha in play, Sodi Wingbreaker is a 6/6. Small upside, but an upside nonetheless. Next up, I will skip the attachments and go to spells first, because the attachments are directly linked to the spells. I'm gonna get to that. Also, the power base here is 4 seats and 4 insignias of the Hooru variety, 9 Justice Sigils, 8 Primal Sigils. Yes, this deck is one of a few ones that is not running any emblems, and that is only because this is a very power-intense deck. If you get up to 10, 11 power, you're just using that throughout your turn. You're very happy to have that much, because Seraph twists and uses a lot of your power. Larai twists and uses a lot of power. Sodi gives you additional cards, etc., etc. So yes, you are using that power, and you don't need like 3/1 Aegis units that don't get flying because you're not running Temple Shihan, or 2/1 flyers that just die to anything and everything. Also, this deck is very power intense. That is why I am currently running 25 plus 4 Seek power. Before I was running more just more sigils and fewer seek powers, but this deck does not have a lot of one-cost things, which means seek power is something you can do on turn 1. Also, sometimes I didn't get my second or third primal if I wanted to, for example, play Savagery from the market. Also, you need a lot of green to get your Icaria going and Icaria buffed up. So when you're seeking power in this deck, you usually should get to 3 primal and then only grab Justice, only try to get Icaria bigger. Next up, we have some metagame calls. I would call it that, because these 7 cards are your removal slots. And there is not a lot of great removal for Hooru in the current format, but I will tell you what I am considering, and you just use 7 of those cards and you should be good. So you could be using Edicts of Grodov and or Linrai. Edict of Grodov is a 2-cost green spell, justice spell, that silences a unit. Also, if it's fire or shadow, you get to kill it. And with Incarnus and Carved, the shadow legendaries from the Flame of Zolta running rampant, not only in Xenon Cultist, but also in other decks. I believe this is one of the better pieces of removal Green has right now. Also, even against cards like Verret, if you get to silence Verret and make it just a 2/3 without any abilities, you have your blockers on the ground. Even a 0/5 Seraph or 0/6 Larai is enough to stop Verret then and there. Next up, we have 3 copies of Fall Short, kill an enemy unit without battle skills. This is sometimes quite problematic. I mean, it can take care of a lot of units. It can take care of High Prophet of Sol. It can take care of Verret. It can take care of Kozin, of Sodi, one or the other, of Yisha, of Seraph. So it has a lot of targets. Also, we are running silence effect, so even if the opponent is not playing red or purple and they have battle skills on their unit, you can silence that unit and you can fold it short. You can play fall short on it. That is not a great deal, but it is a deal nonetheless. Other cards you could be running in these spots are Savagery, but some of your units have 0 attack, more likely than not. You could be playing Bring Downs. You could be playing Lightning Strikes. Something I was considering some time ago. So yes, these are some spells, and usually around 7 copies, give or take a card of those you should be playing here. And rounding out the spells, we have 4 copies of Parul's Choice, one of my favorite cards from the Flame of Zolta. It is a 2-cost Hooru fast spell that either that gives you the option of either drawing a curse of your choice from your deck that you haven't played this game, or giving one of your units +1/+1 in Aegis. So you can save your Seraph, you can save your Yisha, you can save your Sodi, you can save any and all of them. It is a small combat trick too, so you could use that for that advantage, but usually you want to get a curse, or you want to give something Aegis. The +1/+1 is just a small bonus, literally. So yes, now you see that we have Larai the Appraiser and we have Parul's Choice to get us some cursed relics from the deck. So starting off with Larai the Appraiser, I'm gonna go from the higher cost relics first to the lower cost attachments, to lower cost attachments. Kadosh Sees All is a 7-cost double justice curse relic that at the start of the cursed player's turn, you get to play a griffin with flying and stats equal to the number of curses on the cursed player and their units. This is not the only curse in the deck, so these griffins are usually bigger than 1/1s, but even if you are getting 1/1 flyers each turn, this is some sort of advantage. There's only 1 copy of Kadosh Sees All in this deck. You could be running 2 if you want to, for sure, but that is something you can get with Parul's Choice later in the game for sure. This one you usually can't get from Larai unless some things happen, like you get like Seraph gives you a unit that buffs Larai's health by 2. Larai is an X8, turns down into an X7, and then you can get Kadosh Sees All, but usually you just want to get it with Parul's Choice. And even if you draw it early game and you can't do much with it, you can market it out with Rhyme Conclave Smuggler, and then later in the game, if you want it back, you can just grab it back with your other smuggler. Next up, we have a couple of 5-drop relic weapons. Yes, those are also relics that you can grab with Larai. These you can't grab with Pearl's Choice. The first one is Duelist Blade, a 5-cost Hooru relic weapon, a 4/4 that on summon gives you Aegis. So that is another way of getting rid of not getting rid of those, but protecting yourself from those curses. Next up, we have Staff of Stories, a 5-cost double primal relic weapon, an 0/4 that says at the start of your turn, draw a card. So it is delayed. The opponent can just deal 4 damage to you, unless you have face Aegis, then it's slightly more difficult. But it is an 0/4 relic weapon. Unless you have Yisha the Equalizer in play, then it's a 4/4 relic weapon. Also, these 2 relic weapons are the reason why I am not running Hooru Pacifier in this deck. That is a 3-cost 3/4 flyer with Overwhelm that says weapons can't be played. I mean, there is a world where I could be running Hooru Pacifiers and those relic weapons, and just depending on which one I have in hand, in play, I mean, okay, so they can be playing weapons if I have Hooru Pacifier in play, and when they kill it, sure, I'll just play a relic weapon. Anyway, right now I'm not playing those because this is a rather control deck than more a control deck than an aggressive deck, and I already have 24 units here, which is more than enough. Next up, we have some 4-cost relics. 2 of them are Avi Grafts, a 4-cost double Justice Curse relic that on summon you get to kill an enemy unit without flying, and the cursed player can't play units with that name. Unfortunately, on Entomb, they get to play a 3/3 Valkyrie. I mean, this card had to have a downside, otherwise it would just run too rampant throughout the metagame. It is very restrictive, and remember, if you have already played an Avi Graft, you cannot get it with Pearl's Choice, but this is one of the cards you can also get with Larai. The other 4-cost Curse Relic, which you can get with Larai or Pearl's Choice, is Citywide Ban. This is a card you probably have not seen a ton of, but I have been running this in the deck from the previous deck check video in the Throne Curse Mill control deck. This is a 4-cost Justice Curse Relic that on summon you get to choose one of the 4 highest cost cards in the enemy deck. The cursed player can't play cards with that name. And this is here usually to mess with control decks. For example, if you're playing against cultists, you get to shut off either Carvet or Xenon Temple, preferably Xenon Temple. If you're playing against, for example, a Zolta Arcanum deck, you can shut off Zolta Arcanum. Yes, this is mostly against sites, and this is the same case as is with Kadosh Sees All. If you get it against an aggressive deck, you can just market it out with Rhyme Conclave Smuggler. No biggie. Also, it is another curse you could play on your opponent for Kadosh Sees All to produce you bigger griffins, and that's it. Going further down the curve, we have a copy of Island Sanctum. This is a 3-cost double Justice Relic that on Onslaught, which means if you have already attacked on this turn, and it is unfortunately quite difficult with that many 0 attack units as in this deck list, you get to scout, then play a 2/2 Serpent with Flying, and you can pay 7 to play a 2/2 Serpent with Flying. If the enemy player has more than 3 cards in hand, you get to play 3 instead. This is in this deck mostly because, in my opinion, there are now better 3-cost relics, and I want to have an additional card I could draw with Larai. I mean, all in all, it is something like Kadosh Sees All, because later in the game you could just produce a lot of serpents, and this gives you kind of inevitability, a way for you to win on a board stall. You could, I mean, this is not 100% necessary in this deck, but yeah, it has been okay, so to say. Rounding out the deck, we have 1 copy of Adjudicator's Gavel that either you can slightly over-twist Larai to grab it when she's at 1 health, but you can also grab it with Pearl's Choice. It is a 1-cost Curse Relic that says cards can't leave the cursed player's void, and with stuff like a lot of recursion in Cultists and Xenon, and just Mama Vara in general, and Voprex's Choice. Yeah, this is good. This is usually good. if your opponent is playing Shadow, just grab it. But also remember, if your opponent is playing Primal, that they can be running rereads. And it is also just another one for Korosh Sees All. Rounding out, we have 3 copies of Permafrost. I am not running 4 copies, unfortunately, because a lot of decks right now are running cards that just prevent Permafrost from being good. There is Lay Siege, there is Linebreaker's Shield, there are just some sort of curse removals. Zen can sacrifice their units. That is why just 3 copies, not 4. And yes, this is a toolbox E deck, which means it has a lot of ways of grabbing one-off cards from your deck with Larai the Appraiser and Pearl's Choice right now, and Rime Conclave Smuggler from your market, which means you can just adjust this deck list to what you have, or what you need, rather. Last but not least, we have the market. There we don't have any copies of power cards, but you might want to include a power card, because this, as I said a couple of times, this is a very power intense deck, and yeah, you don't want to stumble on power here. But right now there is 1 copy of Savagery. You get to give one of your units Killer and Overwhelm. It is a very high triple primal requirement, which makes it yeah, the most difficult card to cast in this deck more often than not, but yes, it is here. Another one is 1 copy of Bring Down, a 2-cost Hooru fast spell. You get to silence an enemy unit. If it had flying, kill it. That is good against a lot of cards, like, for example, a unit that has Daring Griffin's Exalted Weapon on it, or Carve It, or any other dragon, like Eclipse Dragon. Edict of Linrai, stun an enemy unit. If it's red or yellow, transform it into an 0/1 Totemite and then stun it instead. It is a 2-cost primal spell. It is sometimes necessary against decks that are running time units, against which Edict of Korosh is bad. You can use it against Elan Mizo, for example, or Sodi Spellshaper. Not Sodi Spellshaper, sorry. Sodi, the 3-cost legendary from the Flame of Zoltan. Next up, we have Forbidden Rider Outcast, a good follow-up if you don't have anything in your hand for your 4th turn. It's a 4-cost double justice and single primal Shaman Griffin, a 3/3 flyer, that on summon you either get to play a -3 attack curse on an uncursed enemy unit. If you can't, you get to play Curse of Loneliness on the enemy player instead, and Curse of Loneliness says at the end of the cursed player's turn, if they didn't play a unit, deal 1 damage to them, and you gain 1 armor. So that is also some inevitability, gives you some more health against control decks, pings them for 1 each turn, also helps you with your Duelist Blades and Staff of Stories. And there's also 1 copy of Crystallize in the market, a 5-cost double primal spell that lets you stun and deal 1 damage to each enemy unit. Also remember that if afterwards they play Lay Siege, your plan is ruined. But this is something you can use to just break through a board stall anyway. And remember, if you play Crystallize, you get to attack, and your opponent's units are usually stunned for an additional turn, and then you get to attack again. So it is a 1-turn plan or 2-turn plan anyway. Yeah, you can tinker with this deck in a lot of ways. But yes, this is the base of the Hooru SLY control. Once again, SLY control because of Seraph, Larai, and Yisha, the expedition friends. Yeah, okay, I believe that is enough me blabbering. Let me just show you 3 games that I have played in an Expedition Melee event yesterday, counting from when I'm recording this video. And there we have it, the first game that I've played in the Expedition Melee event. We have 4 power, 2 of them are slow. We have Seraph, we are looking through the market to see what we have here, and yeah, I mean, usually the first Smuggler is at least good, if not very good. But I am willing to redraw because I have not a lot of early game, and I want some early game interaction. I want a 2-drop or one of my 2-cost removals. And here we have it in the form of Permafrost. I am grabbing a 2nd Primal to be able to play Sodi on turn 5, hopefully. And yeah, on turn 2 or 3 I can just permafreeze an opposing unit, and then on 4 I have my Yishan, 5 I have my Sodi. Ikaria, Valkyrie Captain on turn 2 is a great top deck for sure. Then on turn 3 we can just use that ability to power up. And we are playing a Hooru Mirror. And we also know the opponent has no sigils in hand, which means they could have some emblems, or they could just be semi-screwed here. I'm also opting to play another Justice Sigil because we want to go up to 6 Justice Influence as fast as possible, especially that we have 2 Ikarias, not 1. And next turn I can already play Sodi. Now the opponent on turn 3 is playing Hooru Pacifier, and Shenra and Hooru Pacifier means the opponent is playing a rather aggressive version of the deck. But now me having, I'll pause here because I will tell you why I'm attacking into Hooru Pacifier, because that was a longer thought process. So most of Hooru deck lists include Finest Hour, and usually if I'm attacking here, I have that Finest Hour, and the opponent does not want to get rid of their Hooru Pacifier because I could also just be using the version with Linebreaker's Shields, with Elder's Feathers or Changey Sticks, etc, etc. So if I attack, if my unit dies, it's still okay because I get to play a power and Sodi Wingbringer to kill the opposing unit. And if they don't block, I get to play a power, kill the opposing unit with Sodi Wingbringer anyway, and on top of that, that bluff will net me a card because I have dealt damage to the opponent, so Sodi will trigger at the end of their turn. What will the opponent do? Yes, the bluff worked. So not only do we still have Baby Ikaria, I mean, a 1/1 Baby Ikaria right now is not a huge deal, but drawing that additional card is a huge deal. Even if it's Edict of Korosh against a Hooru deck, even if we just get to silence that Shenra before it gets bigger, that is a huge deal, because if the opponent just has a 2/1 unit on the ground, that gives them nothing or semi-nothing. So yes, now the opponent is probably thinking, oh, what have I done? Or just pondering their next move. So yes, as you can see, we have a ton of cards in hand that we want to play. And that is, you can see how power intense this deck really is, and how much Baby Ikarias are helping. Now the opponent could have a Finest Hour here to make their unit bigger, but they would have to spend 2 to get rid of our Sodi. So that is why I am keeping it here. Also, yeah, that one is a slight problem, Temple Shihan, so we are attacking here anyway. We are drawing a card at the end of the turn anyway. And given that I have another Sodi, I am letting the opponent have their way with Temple Shihan, because, yeah, we're just gonna kill their unit with Sodi. We also have Fall Short, which we can use on their Shenra or their Temple Shihan when we need to, but the opponent is unfortunately playing Heavy Graft and killing Sodi and disabling the other Sodi we have in hand. So yeah, that is a huge bummer, to say the least. Now there is another Permafrost here that we can use right now on Shinra, but do we need to? Probably not. I believe this is just an attack and playing Yisha. And also remember, we are at 4 Justice Influence, which means if we draw another Justice Sigil or another piece of Justice Influence, we can play that. We can use second Baby Ikaria's ultimate ability, grab another Justice Sigil from our deck, and buff both those Flying Valkyries by 3 attack and 2 health. So yes, but this will just depend on what we draw and what the opponent does. I mean, even right now, even if we're just drawing 1 card per turn, that citywide ban could be really good for us. We could just disable 1 card that the opponent has, like their Sodi, disabling them from killing one of our Ikarias or something like that. Now they're drawing a curse of their choice from their deck. It is probably going to be, yep, a Permafrost on Yisha, so they can attack with their 2/1, but Yisha's ability fortunately still is active, still is online. Now I'm thinking between activating that Ikaria or playing citywide ban, but yeah, let's disallow Zolta Loyalist, Anya, Sodi, and Daring Griffin. Yeah, that is a huge deal. Daring Griffin, I don't believe that is a huge problem, because remember, this deck is not running a ton of spells, and even... but somehow I have chosen to do that. I believe disabling their Sodi might have been better. So yeah, there is still that. A Flying Rime Conclave Smuggler. Yeah, I saw that they are running Sodi in their deck. That is why I have permafrozen their Shenra, so that they cannot activate any onslaught on their units. Now, them having that 3/2 flyer is a slight bummer, but we still have the third and last permafrost here. I'm also thinking about killing that Temple Shihan with Fall Short, because all the units they are drawing right now have flying. Or I could also use Baby Ikaria's ability, but no, I'm just attacking for 3, getting them down to 9, or not. Or this one is just getting brought down, or I could save it, deal 1 more damage. Yeah, I believe that is a decent option, because right now the opponent just has 1 card in their hand, and I also want to play Fall Short here, so if they draw a unit, their unit won't be flying. Unfortunately, they drew a power. Or was it next turn? This turn or next turn they're drawing a power. No, it was actually next turn. Okay, so right now I don't have much to do with my power, so I'm just grabbing that 5th Justice and attacking for 4, leaving the opponent down to 4. So we are winning next turn, right? Right? Okay, Primal Sigil. And wrong. A Flying Endurance Zolta Loyalist, which means they had it in their hand for a while now. And I have not 1, but 2 Sodi Wing Breakers that I cannot play. I mean, if I grab another Justice Influence, both my Ikarias will have at least 4 attack, and I can just attack for victory unless they have like a Bring Down or something. But right now, fortunately, I have my own Bring Down in the market, which means I can exchange one of the unplayable Sodis for that exactly. Silence an enemy unit if it has flying, kill it. Cross my fingers, the opponent does not have Pearl's Choice, but a Finest Hour, because they do have a stop here. And attack for 4, and victory. Yes, it is a victory. Alright, that was game number 1. Let's go to game number 2. And game number 2 starts with a decent hand of 4 power, Lerai, Smuggler, and Yisha. So if we open up with Smuggler, for example, Yisha will allow Lerai to be a 6/6. And that is a good thing, right? Right. The opponent seems is playing Linrai colors, so which means they are probably going to be... Yeah, it is probably going to be a cursed deck. So the question is, am I playing Lerai first, or am I playing what first? I mean, for sure I want to play Seraph after I have Yisha in play, so that the Seraph gets to be a 5/5 and my twisted unit is getting bigger. And the opponent's already playing a wanted poster on our unit, and following it up with Felrauk's Choice, killing our unit, drawing 2 cards, drawing their wanted poster from the void, and just being glad, I tell you. So yeah, Yisha hopefully will equalize everything and everyone. And if we draw power, nope, never mind. Yisha down. It's just up to Seraph and Lerai to avenge Yisha. So on 5 we can play Lerai the Appraiser and Twist to grab Staff of Stories or Duelist Blade. And from what I remember of me playing that color combination and cursed decks, it is quite difficult to get rid of relic weapons. Also, Staff of Stories is better because it is just going to draw us a ton of cards. So that is why I'm going for it. And Yisha will just get marketed out with Rime Conclave Smuggler sooner or later. I'm also going for Citywide Ban to disallow one of the opponent's unit of opponent's hits, like Korosh Sees All, but I'm also playing
Rhyme Conclave Smuggler to give myself face Aegis so the opponent cannot play any cursed relics on us. I believe I'm also going for Forbidden Rider Outcast because the opponent is rather a control deck. Or I could also be going for Bring Down. Yeah, one or the other. Forbidden Rider Outcast usually gives us Curse of Loneliness on the opponent, which means they will be dealt 1 damage each turn if they are not playing units. And yeah, I mean, we're not milling right now. This is not thrown, unfortunately, or fortunately. Soothing Shortbeak, which means 1 Aegis down and 1 curse is on our unit, and one has Wanted Poster, the other one has Pacify and Wanted Poster. Yeah, they are wanted like I don't know what. Anyway, we can attack with our 1/4 and then Sodi Wing Breaker their unit, because I don't believe they're blocking with their flyer, and we are getting rid of their flyer, and we are drawing a card, and we are putting a body on the board, which is much better than just playing Staff of Stories right now, right? Right. And drawing power is something we want, because, once again, power intense deck. The opponent is playing Parul. This is the first time I've seen someone playing Parul. And that is a card we need to get rid of for sure. If I twist Lerai once again, we can grab Avigraft for Parul, which is good. Also remember, it also counts all the curses on our units, which means 2 Wanted Posters and a Pacify. I want to disallow the opponent playing something, and right now I don't want them to play a second Parul. That's why I'm doing this. I mean, I will be grabbing an Avigraft for that Parul anyway. But yeah, that's still what I'm doing right here, right now. Because I have face Aegis right now, and if they have Korosh Sees All and they want to play it on us, it will just melt down and fizzle. Caltrops. The cursed unit has -5 attack. The enemy player can't play units with that name. So this is another version of an Avigraft for flyers as well. Rhyme Conclave Smuggler means we can bring that sucker down. Am I attacking? I'm probably not attacking. Yeah, Rhyme Conclave Smuggler, we can get rid of Fall Short into Bring Down. So yeah, killing a flyer instead of killing a unit without any battle skills. And yeah, given the opponent has an aggressive deck, excuse me, let me back up. Given that the opponent has a control deck, rather, given that the opponent has a control deck, I don't believe they will have many units without any battle skills. We've already seen Parul here. The Griffins from Korosh Seas all have flying, etc., etc. Fortunately, I did not have to twist to grab that Avigraft on Parul, so now we have 2 Cursed Relics, 3 Cursed Relics on the unit, 2 of them saying you can't play Parul and you can't play Parul, and that's good, and we are attacking the opponent for 7, which is a lot. We are drawing an additional card, and it is already a big Ikaria because we already have 6 Justice Influence in play. Now what will the opponent do right now? That is the question. And they are playing Hidden Road Smuggler, actually. And right there, I thought to myself that the opponent would be going for Age-Worn Vestige in this spot, which is why I do not want to go wide here. I don't want to play my Seraphs, because my units will just die in a moment. I should also be attacking with the other Rhyme Conclave Smuggler here, I believe. Why I'm not attacking with it, I have no idea. But I am playing Staff of Stories, because if the opponent is playing Age-Worn Vestige and attacking us, we will still get to draw a card, because Staff of Stories will still be a 0/1 weapon. And then we will play Seraph and twist Seraph and have some units to block that, if they have the Age-Worn Vestige in their market, obviously. A fall short for us, because we did deal damage to the opponent. And that is indeed Age-Worn Vestige. They are killing everything in play. I mean, if we still had our Lerai, they couldn't be attacking us, because that is what Lerai is disabling the opponent attacking with relic weapons. We also had 2 wanted posters on our units, and that is why the opponent is drawing so many cards. At the end of their turn, also we dealt some damage to them via Curse of Loneliness. Now right here I will play Seraph and Twisted, but I should have also considered just playing Larai. Larai, Seraph and Icaria. And that's it. Because Larai just shuts off that Age-worn Vestige. Also next turn I can play Larai and Twist Seraph once again. But Seraph has one fewer attack right now. Can't come to the phone right now. And they are playing Curse of Loneliness on us, or rather taking out our face Aegis. And I believe this is something bad, because right now they can go for could go for Korosh Sees All or some bad stuff like that. We are drawing a card off of Staff of Stories, and that is good, obviously. What am I going to do here, though? I could twist and play double Baby Icarias. I could play Larai and do something along those lines. I do have Blurry Chaser here, playing Icaria, and playing the other Seraph, or no? No, I don't have enough power, never mind. They are probably going to kill Seraph. They are playing Mercy of Korosh on us, so when we are drawing our second card in a turn, the opponent is also drawing a card, which means they are drawing also a card off of our Staff of Stories, and that is unfortunate. So we are drawing a card, and then they are drawing a card, and they are getting a Griffin because they have finally played Korosh Sees All. And in this deck we cannot get rid of enemy cursed relics, unfortunately, so we cannot get rid of the Avigrab that is on us, we can't get rid of that Korosh Sees All, but what we could go for is Korosh Sees All on the opponent anyway. Also trying to attack with Icarias and with our Blurry Chaser, because remember it is... Oh, why didn't I attack with that? I have no idea. Because it has 2 attack and quick draw, so it could either take down an enemy unit or do something along those lines. And I did not even have any free time to play my Larai to disable the opponent's relic weapon, at least for a moment. Okay, Dizzo's Office means I need to somehow break through there. Another Fall Short is a bad card right now. Edict of Korosh, though, could be slightly better. I mean, Fall Short doesn't work right now because all units on the battlefield have a battle skill. I mean, all the opposing units for sure, because the opponent has Dizzo's Office and all of them have lifesteal. But even without Dizzo's Office, they all have that. And right now, unfortunately, we are in the losing position. Mainly because of that Age-worn Vestige that the opponent played, but right now also because of Korosh Sees All that the opponent has. We are playing that Larai finally, and I could exchange my relic weapon for another relic weapon if I need to. I also want to finally twist and attack with that 6 damage unit. Yes, we are keeping Icaria on top, and why I'm not attacking with that, I have no idea. Probably because I thought to myself they would just block with the 3-2 Griffin, Daring Griffin, and right now I can just block that. They are playing Threaten on it, so they will probably play a bigger card there. Avigraft on our Larai is also bad. But yeah, it does not look like I will be winning this game, unfortunately. I'm also thinking of just getting rid of my Staff of Stories, but if the opponent is attacking with their whole fleet, then yeah, it will die anyway. Okay, so I'm just blocking here with these 2. The opponent will use their last charge of their Age-worn Vestige on our 5/5, probably. They're also drawing 2 cards now. What are they going to do, though? Okay, so our Staff of Stories is down, but we can go for Duelist Blade and then Mercy of Korosh and Fall Short on something that is big. Soothing Short Beak. So 2 more curses on our units. And that also means the opponent's griffins will be bigger. Because, yeah, we have 2 more curses on ourselves. So the opponent's griffin is right now a 6/6 with lifesteal, and they are just running away with this game right now. Can Calebovitsch win it somehow? You're gonna see in a moment or two. So yes, playing that relic weapon, killing their 5/2 flyer, having some Fate's Aegis as well. They have something fast here. They could have Felrog's Choice or Pearl's Choice. Next up, they will play the Exalted Weapon somewhere. We want to silence that unit and kill it later with Fall Short. But if the opponent has Pearl's Choice, yeah, then that's just good game. Right here and then. I mean, my Griffins are not as big. And even though I should be attacking here, and if the attack does not come through, I should be twisting that unit so that the opposing Griffins will be smaller. I mean, they have no ground troops anyway. So yeah, this is a game where fall shorts are worse, just like that. We do have a lot of good cards, but fall shorts are bad. These are 3 cards in the deck. They sometimes work, but usually not. And that's it. Sometimes they don't work. What will the opponent have now? That is the question. Another Soothing Shortbeak, which means their Griffins will be even bigger. But yeah, I'm at 14. They are playing Felrog's Choice. They are killing something that we have. They are getting their curses back anyway. Their Pacify at least. They're killing another one. So yeah, this is a good game right here and right now. Do they have a third one? No, they just haven't. Wait, what? No, they're playing Pacify so that I can't kill the 3/3. And even if I block the 1/3, I am dead. If I'm blocking this one, I'm down to 2. And I don't have any Age-Worn Vestiges main deck. Even if I had the opponents on 53, they're playing huge Griffins each turn. Yeah, this is a good game, opponent. Nice deck, nice play. Congrats. On to game 3 against Dark Revenger. And this is a 1 power and seek power hand, so this is usually a redraw. Yep. And we have 3 power, a seek power, Larai, fall short. Yeah, this is a good one. This is indeed a good one. Or at least a decent one. Grodov sees all, don't know if it will see play, but we can always just smuggle it out to the market. The opponent is thinking, redrawing. Xenon Insignia, non-depleted Xenon Insignia. Hello, Nemesis. Yes, going for Justice Sigil, as I said, we have Baby Icarias, so if we already have 3 Primal, just go for Justice. Play 2 1/1 Cultists, sure. Don't care. Don't care right now. Edict of Kodosh is a great pickup, and we have Fall Short if the opponent plays High Prophet of Sol. So right now we're not using it in any way, shape or form, and they do have High Prophet of Sol, so we will be killing that right here and now. Are they decimating? Oh, they are decimating. Well, they can also play Arc of Sol from the market, yes, with Bargain. They want to have +2 max power on High Prophet of Sol. So they are theoretically up to 5 power, but guess what? Fall short. So down to 3 once again. It's good that they decimated. Means this is slightly easier for me right now. If the opponent had 5 power right now, could be power, carve it, turn 4, that's it. Vara's favors, so they have Shadow Sigil and so they have Death Elemental in hand still. and another Shadow Sigil. So we know 2 of their 5 cards. They still have power, but they are slowed. We have slowed them down for a bit at least. Duelist Blade to get rid of something, and against that deck I want to go for citywide ban, and I want to disallow either Carvet or Xenon Temple, usually. Unless they are playing Vara's main deck, so could also be that. On the other hand, I am running a Gavel main deck, so if I have 5 outs of drawing that Gavel, or I can over-twist Larai and get the Gavel. The enemy player discards a spell or sight. Fortunately, that does not grab Citywide Ban or Avigraft or Kadosh Sees All, so that is all and well. We are grabbing another Justice here and playing Citywide Ban, so the opponent cannot do much. And Eager Offering, Incarnus, Even Dune Smuggler, and Xenon Temple. Okay, I'll pause here for a moment, because right here we have a ton of information about the opponent's deck. So they only have 1 4-cost card, they only have 1 5-cost card, I mean 1 type of 5-cost card, which means they are not running Carvet main deck, they are not running Vara main deck, they are not running any huge crazy things main deck. So Incarnus, we can get rid of that with Avigraft for eternity. Xenon Temple is usually the biggest problem. If they play Eben Dune Smuggler, that means they have 1 Carvet and or 1 Vara, and we do have stuff to get rid of 1 Carvet and or 1 Vara, so that is not a huge problem. So 10 out of 10, we get rid of Xenon Temple here. I mean, that choice was quite fast for me in game. That is why I had to pause and tell you what line of thinking I was going through. Fenris Nightshade, so yes, that is the more aggressive version, for sure, with this for card draw. But we do have Avigraft, we have Duelist Blade, and I believe Duelist Blade first to get rid of that. If the opponent attacks with both their units, we just block their 1/1, and we still have a slight advantage. If the opponent just attacks with the Deadly, we are blocking here, and we can use our Relic Weapon to finish off their last Cultist, or do something similar here. So yes, 10 out of 10, I'm doing that. I could also Avigraft the Cultist, but Avigraft is much better against cards like Incarnus or even Dune Smuggler, so that they cannot get anything else from their market. After a short while, I believe I am killing that one. Yes. Also playing that power, and I could go for Staff of Stories just to start drawing additional cards, because we already drew both our 5-cost relics, so Larai's first initial twist does nothing for us right now. Incarnus can give them something dastardly, but that is the first and last Incarnus of this game. I semi-promise you. They also have a 2/2 Exalted. Sure, not a huge problem. And we are drawing an additional card. Unfortunately, the opponent has a lot of battle skills right now. Both their units have battle skills, but Fall Short, I believe, already played a great role in this game by killing off High Prophet of Sol and slowing the opponent down, allowing us to do a lot of things here. Surgeon's Saw. That is a nice card that gives them back Fenris Nightshade, a 4/3, but we can get rid of that one with Fall Short. Right now, if the opponent is gaining health, we don't care that much, at least. We have Yisha, we have Island Sanctum. We can also just play Kadosh Sees All and start creating Griffins. And that is a 3/3 Griffin that we can use to block their 3/3 Lifestealer. Fenris Nightshade, and using the ability, sure. Now, if the opponent attacks, I could block with the Griffin, or I could block with Larai. I believe blocking with Griffin is slightly better, because then we can double twist Larai and play Avigraft on that Fenris Nightshade. Because double twisting gives us that second Avigraft. Avigrab. Yeah, the opponent is thinking, but we are decreasing their options. They can't play Xenon Temples, they can't play Incarnuses, so both their great cards are down. Down, down, down. So yes, this should be probably a double twist. The first one nets us nothing, but the second one gives us Avigraft. We are also playing the power. The card we can mark it out is either Island Sanctum or Fall Short, so yeah. That is something we can do. I mean, they can do Worthy Cause on, yeah, and kill our Lerai, but I don't care that much. I believe we have good enough advantage right now. We are playing a 4/4 Griffin each turn. We are drawing an additional card each turn. The fact that they have another Fenris Nightshade, we can fall short on that one. And yes, the game is going in our favor for sure. Also, if we draw power, we can attack, we can play Island Sanctum, we can do Island Sanctum, pay 7 for 3 more, because the opponent has a ton of cards in hand, more than 3 for sure. And that is some additional inevitability, and just a flying armada of Hooru flyers, serpents and griffins alike. Yes, Earth Elemental, but that probably won't matter. Do we have a power? We don't have a power. We are attacking here nonetheless. We could go for a lot of things, but fall short should be one of them. Also, Island Sanctum to already grab that Edict of College. That is good, but yeah, the opponent sees the writing on the wall and they can see it. So this is a huge victory against Xenon. All right, so these were 3 games. Let's get back on up top, and for some final thoughts. Alrighty, welcome back to the deck editor. So yeah, these were 3 games that I have played in an Expedition Melee run. In total, I went 6-1 in that run, losing only to that Curse deck. But overall, I have played against 2 Hoorus, 1 Fire Time Justice, 1 Monotime, 1 Shadow with a splash of Primal, 1 Xenon, and 1 Curse deck. Only losing against that Curse deck. So 2 additional comments I wanted to make at the end. First up, there is a curse, 2 curses that we have seen in the second match here. One of them was Caltrops, that is slightly similar to Avigrad. The cursed unit has -5 attack. The enemy player can't play cards with the name of the cursed unit, so that is similar, but this one can be played on a flyer, which is stupefying for me, because how can a flyer be vulnerable to Caltrops? I mean, each hardcore RPG player can tell you, no, Caltrops against flying units, no, they don't work. But anyway, that's just some thematics, not some mechanics. The other one is, the other curse relic is another Kadosh card. It is Mercy of Kadosh. Is a 4-cost double justice curse relic. When the cursed player draws their second card in a turn, you get to draw a card. I believe I was running this for a moment in this deck, but yeah, we are drawing a ton of cards anyway, off of Lerai, off of Staff of Stories, off of Sodi. We also have a lot of units from Seraph, so this is just not necessary. I'd rather be running that citywide ban, which you have already seen in 2 games anyway. Another card that we are not playing in this deck, but is quite good against this deck, unfortunately, is called Cast into Shadow. It is a 3-cost Justice Shadow fast spell that says kill an enemy unit or curse with a single faction, and on Decimate, the opponent gets to do that again. So, for example, in the match against the curse deck, I don't know if the opponent was running that either main deck or in the market, but look, Kadosh sees all, citywide ban, Avigraft, Adjudicator's Gavel, or all are in Justice, just single Justice. I mean, the Curse of Loneliness from Forbidden Rider Outcast fortunately is 2-color, but yeah, that is one of the better ways of getting rid of your curses. So you have to remember about that. So if you're playing against a deck that is running Justice and Shadow, they're probably running that card because it is a good piece of removal, and it is just very good against you, unfortunately. So you have to remember not to triple up on your curses, and also remember the opponent can trick out a Valkyrie into play, for example, during an attack. All right, this is going to be it for this deck check. I hope this was some interesting content for you. And yes, this is another deck that you can tinker with a lot, as I said, depending on the metagame. You can switch edicts, you can play different pieces of removal, you can play some other 2-drops instead of Icarius as well. You can go for some other curses, just depending on what floats your boat. And the market is just a total overhaul, probably. Yes, thank you once again, and I would also like to thank the sponsors of this video, TeamRankstar.com, your best source for all guides, strategy articles, and just hints about how to play digital card games such as, and I'm usually forgetting at least one of those, Eternal Card Game, Elder Scroll Legends, Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, Gwent, Mythgard, and Tappen. Test finally passed. I would like to thank Inked Gaming. Customize your game with your style. OP Seed, I believe the name says it all, and Acquire. Yes, this has been Calebovitsch. I'm signing off, and until next week, see you at the tables. Oh wait, that's from some other video series. Never mind. So, see you next time.